Meet Leslie. She and her husband were living in the U.S. and needed a change.
We were both burned out with our jobs, and so we called our financial advisor and said, hey, if we were to retire right now, how much could we live on? And then we looked for somewhere we could afford.
But Portugal wasn't originally on her radar.
Well, initially I was thinking Spain, but then we talked to some expats that had lived in Spain, and they told us the taxes were just really high and to look at Portugal.
They knew they had to get out of the U.S. though.
We can't stay here. I don't want our money to just disappear because of health care.
But financially, did it end up being a good decision?
We don't actually live on the amount that the financial advisor said that we could live on because
And was retirement what Leslie thought it would be?
my brain needs a job. I'm just that kind of person. I get bored without a job.
So ultimately, was Portugal the right choice?
The stress of the medical care and all that kind of stuff is all around me when I show up in America, and when I come here,
Leslie, thanks so much for joining me today. You have been here in Portugal for some time, so I want to talk about that and why you chose Portugal. So let's just go ahead and start there. How long have you been here, and where did you move from?
well, I've been here 4.5 years. I moved from Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where I grew up. I lived in the same place my whole life and then came here.
Okay, so that's kind of crazy. Had you at least visited Portugal?
No,
Sight unseen.
sight unseen.
Had never moved anywhere, even in the U.S.
No. I grew up in the same county my whole life.
I think some people would be like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, my friends were.
Okay, they maybe thought you had lost your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a little bit of an impulsive person, so they were probably thinking, she's just going to be impulsive, but this isn't going anywhere.
Okay, so you would come over and then maybe a year or two and then go back.
Right.
Okay. Now, had you always considered Portugal, or were there other places you looked into?
Well, initially I was thinking Spain. The language I took in high school was Spanish, and I'm always thinking about my career. And so in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, if I learn Spanish, I can add that to the different subjects that I teach. And there's a huge demand for people that are American that also speak Spanish fluently to teach in America. So that was kind of in the back of my mind. But then we talked to some expats that had lived in Spain, and they told us the taxes were just really high and to look at Portugal.
Okay. Oh, okay. So they said, we're in Spain, maybe don't come here, check out Portugal.
Yes.
And have you found actually that the taxes like here in Portugal have not been so bad?
Yes, exactly. Okay. It's more taxes than we're used to in the United States. However, it's not that much more, and we have free health care. Or even if you get private health insurance, it's still nothing. The cost of the health care far outweigh any little extra taxes that you might have to pay.
Yeah, that's such a good way to think about it, because I think people look at like the highest tax bracket, that 48%, and they don't think about the progressive scale, but they also don't think about the benefits that the tax are supposed to help with.
Right.
But one of the big things is healthcare. I mean, a lot of people from the U.S. want to leave the U.S. just because of the healthcare costs. So if you can just factor that in, okay, I'm going to have higher taxes here, but I'm going to lower that as far as my cost of living, then it balances, right?
Right, exactly. And the thing with the taxes here, the biggest tax break you can get here is being married.
Okay, good to know. And you're married.
Yeah, and I'm married, so that cuts your taxes almost in half. And so when you see the progressive scale and how high it can go, like the 48%, you're not going to be paying that if you're married. Again, that's based on the 48% would be if you have tons and tons of income coming in. So.
Okay, so sound advice, get married before moving.
That's right?
Okay, so you were a former teacher, because you talked about
Yes.
teaching. So you retired from being a teacher.
Yes.
And had you thought, I'm just going to retire and I'm done, I'm going to move to Portugal and just ride off into the sunset, or what was the plan?
So honestly, I really don't have lots of plans, lots of times. I'm very spontaneous. I like to try new things. I love adventure. My husband and I, we were both really burned out because it was COVID. It was 2021, and we were both burned out with our jobs. I had been teaching classes online, which was the opposite of what I love. I love working with kids. I adore working with kids and families, and trying to teach a class full of kids who've turned off their Zoom so you can't see them. Like that is just, that's just terrible. So I got burned out, and my husband had been working as an engineer for almost 25 years, and he had been listening to phone calls of people complaining about their networks for 25 years, and now he was working at home too, and we just were really both burned out. And so we called our financial advisor and said, hey, if we were to retire right now, how much could we live on? And then we looked for somewhere we could afford. Based on that.
All right, so you weren't planning on retiring, but just being burnt out, you're like, okay, can we make this work? And
Right.
can you just give me a ballpark of how much you needed to make work? Like, how much did you need to have to comfortably live in Portugal? Like, what did the financial advisor say?
We don't actually live on the amount that the financial advisor said that we could live on because we sold our home and we're living on the savings. So we haven't had to touch
Oh,
any
great.
of our long-term retirement, and we're too young to take most of it. We can get some of our Roth out, but we can't take any of the other money without having to pay. So anyway, we sold our house and we've been living on the cost of our house, the profit ever since then.
Okay, so you'll kind of write that out, and then as you get a little older, you can start drawing off of the different things without penalties.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, we're trying to get that to last till we're 69 and a half, or 59 and a half. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So at the time that your financial advisor gave you that number, and now, have you seen Portugal change, like pricing wise? Like, do you have to be making more than you were before?
Absolutely. So when we first moved here, from all the stuff we read, we were thinking we could get an apartment for 800 euros a month, which we all laugh at now, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get that.
Right.
We found a place that was 1,000 a month, 2-bedroom, and a terrace. We brought 2 dogs, and that's why we picked it. But you can't find that anymore. As we were living there, it wasn't the most ideal place. And so I kept looking at properties thinking, oh, maybe this is a bubble. Prices are going up really fast. Maybe it's just a bubble. And it was not a bubble. But we stayed there for 2 years just to make sure. And then we moved into a higher price place. And now we're spending almost twice what we spent.
Okay, so that
rent.
place that was 1,000 in 2021,
Right.
how much do you think it would be now?
I would guess at least 1,800. It depends on if they fix the roof.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they updated it and fixed the roof and did the stuff they needed to, they could easily get 18, 19, 2,000. It's close to the city. It has a nice terrace. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you know this a little more because actually you retired from being a teacher. You moved over here. And then did you get bored or what happened? Because now you're in an industry, you're in kind of the housing industry, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit. But what happened once you got here? You got bored or?
I did. So for me, I got here, had a lot of fun like I was a teenager for about 4 months. Then I was like, okay, this is life. This is not a vacation. And this is really common for people when they move here. You start out with kind of the honeymoon phase and it feels like you're traveling and exploring. But then after a while, it just is life. And so you have to make sense out of what does this mean for me? What do I want out of my life right now, right? And so I really missed working. And so I went back to teaching math, but I was tutoring online. And so I tutored students, middle school through high school, that were in Wake County, North Carolina, where I'm from.
Okay.
And so I'd work with them at night. And I did this for 4 years. And I really I love working with kids, and I really enjoyed it, but the hours were a lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, even as a teacher, there were times that I had interest in exploring other fields, but I was so worried about a steady paycheck and health insurance and all these things that I didn't feel like I could do that. So one of the things that is so amazing about not having to worry about health insurance and health care is you don't have to work a certain amount of hours, right? I can define my own work schedule. I can define what I want to do, and it's not tied to health care. Whereas in the United States, it is.
Yeah, that's true.
So like for us, we wanted to retire in our early 50s. Well, you can't do that in America because you have to work for health insurance. And then, we had savings, but it was certainly not enough to cover any major health crisis. And we all know, we see what happens with people having major health crises and losing their homes and that kind of thing. So once we got to that position, we just said, we can't stay here. I don't want our money to just disappear because of health care.
So it works out, you came over to Portugal on the D7, right?
I did, yes.
All right, so it kind of works out that you didn't end up going to Spain because this past year, the Spanish, and their law now is that if you come on the non-lucrative, which is the similar one as the D7, then you can't actually have another job.
Wow.
Whereas in D7, here you can. So you can apply with passive income, but you could still, as long as the activity's outside of Portugal, and then you could teach online or something like that. So that worked out in your favor that you're here in Portugal instead of Spain.
It's great. So I actually taught, initially I wanted to go back to teaching. So I worked at one of the private schools here for about a month, but pays low here in all industries, as we know. They really work their teachers to death here. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just work part-time, and it was like a full-time job, so I didn't stay very long. But yeah, that's when I realized even with a D7 visa, you can work here, which is great. After tutoring and working nights for 4 years, I decided to go into real estate and do something a little different.
Okay, so tell us about that, because it feels like that's a big change, but I don't know, maybe it's not. So tell us about how that is here.
Funny enough, back in the States, I have 2 colleagues and 2 ex-students that are all realtors in Wake County, where I'm from.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe there is a bit of a correlation
Yeah.
here.
So, yeah, honestly, a realtor hit me up and said, hey, I think you'd be really good at this with your math background and your teaching and the skills that you use with teaching. We have so many skills we have to build as teachers. And after 30 years, I've honed a lot.
Yeah.
So she felt like I would be a valuable asset to her team. And I thought, no, why not? I want to try something new. I'm tired of working at night, and I need something. My brain needs a job. I'm just that kind of person. I get bored without a job.
So how's it going?
Good. It's going good. As you all know, the market here is crazy. Like, the prices have gone up much faster than any of the other Western EU countries. Thinking that it was a bubble, it's not a bubble. It's just going up and up and up and up. So since like 2014, the market has improved by 220%.
Oh my. Yeah.
I know, because you imagine if you had bought in 2014,
Yeah.
or even when we all just moved here.
Yeah, before that.
Right.
Okay, but overall it's going well. Do you normally work with expats or locals or a mix?
So my Portuguese is not great, so I have to work with people that speak English. Luckily, my partner is Portuguese from Porto, and she's been a realtor for 15 years. So she helps me with language and all the technical stuff. Pretty much it's just expats.
Okay.
And I also, after going through the experience of moving here, I have a lot of empathy for people moving here, right? And it's a big decision. There's a lot to think about. I know a lot more now, of course, in hindsight, and I share these things with people. I want them to make a decision that's in their best interest, right? I care about people coming here and doing what's going to make them happy.
Right.
And not getting here and regretting, oh, I sold my house and everything I own and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And
mainly, or it could just be because like the housing situation you got in, like I don't like my house or my apartment. And so everything about Portugal is awful. So
exactly.
So if you can get a good accommodation, then that obviously helps with your perception of how things are, especially when you first move.
It's very tricky here with real estate. So the way they do things here is really different. Realtors have a property to sell and they try to be the seller's agent and the buyer's agent of the same property, which is considered not great in the States. Like, a lot of states outlaw that. And you always have to disclose if you are a dual agent. Well, here everyone tries to be a dual agent, and that's the norm. And so when you're trying to buy something, they're trying to push their property on you.
They're not really looking out for you as the buyer. A lot more for the seller.
That's right. There's nobody looking out for the buyers. And so I really care about that as someone. I put myself into other people's position.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
It's a big deal to invest in a property, and even a bigger deal when it's in another country, right?
Making sure you're doing it the right way.
Yeah. So,
But you also do rentals too.
yes, I do rentals. A lot of people have to have, everybody has to have a 1-year lease in order to get their D7 visa, right? And then there's some other rental things, like they won't guarantors now. There's just some tricky things even with renting, and it's important to have somebody that understands these things. And
yes, because it's different than renting to someone who is Portuguese and living here, because they don't need, if you're trying to get your D7, they don't need all those little things. But now it's getting stricter as well with what they're requiring that you have.
Right.
And also too, just the American standard, like the mindset that we have is what housing should be like, what's comfortable, what's not, what's included, what's not.
That's right.
Just knowing all of that. So it's good to have someone, like you in their corner.
Yes, there's so many things. I mean, even like renting here, in the contract, it can tell you that you are responsible for fixing anything that goes wrong as a renter.
Yeah.
Not all renters do that. So it's really important to have somebody that can look through the contract and say, yeah, no, you need to provide assistance if anything goes wrong, or we're not going to sign this contract.
Yeah.
That
That's
kind
so
of thing.
true. We talked about changes earlier, and housing was obviously one of the ones you mentioned that you know a
Right.
lot about because of just personal experience when you first moved here and then now being in the industry. What other things have changed the past few years that you've seen about Portugal?
A lot more of us.
Yeah, okay.
Which is not surprising. A lot more Americans. The expat community is huge here, as you guys know. I guess that's really a lot of what I see. Oh, a lot more restaurants.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a good thing. Yeah.
A lot more variety in restaurants and bars, and there are different pockets that are great places to live, but they may not have a lot of things open, on Saturday afternoons or Sundays. And some of these businesses are coming in that are more American-minded or Western-minded, and that's really great for Americans because we want things that are open more frequently.
Yeah.
I even live next to a mall because I want stuff open.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think the mall culture seems to be dying a bit in the U.S., right? It's still strong
is.
here, and in Europe you can see really nice malls and everything. But I think it's not. It seems to be not as big of a thing anymore in the U.S.
Yes, here it is very common for the Portuguese to have like entertainment in the malls, and we know the malls here have gyms and grocery stores and movie theaters and all kinds of things in them. Some have hospitals in them.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
I mean, they're huge, and you'll see it's so cute. They're so family oriented here, and at the mall where I am, they'll have stuff set up for kids to play in all the time, and they'll swap it out. So it's like a little playground for kids. It's really interesting, and
Yeah.
the parents bring their kids.
It's great for parents.
Oh, it is. It's
Especially if it's
great.
rainy outside, right? You
Yes.
can always go to the mall and do a few different things. Grocery shopping. The kids have a
Yes.
place to play. You don't have to worry about the weather, which is nice.
Yes, and you'll see when it rains, you'll see everybody going to the mall.
It's so true. Okay, as far as changes goes, we've talked a little bit about, the restaurants has been good, more expats that are coming here, housing. How about immigration? I feel like that's a hot topic right now. Have you seen changes, and have you been personally affected by anything immigration-wise since you got here in 2021?
No,
No? Okay.
not really. Of course, we know that there are locals that are frustrated with the cost of housing because of the gentrification. And of course, this is happening in every city in the world. It's not just Porto. So I'm aware that that's happening, and I will hear people talk about that, but they're never blaming me or ugly about it. They just like to talk about it.
Okay.
One thing I really love here is how kind the people are, how helpful they are. They all grew up with this image of America because they grew up on American TV and American music, and so they really are so interested in Americans. And so if they're still in that curious phase, which most of them are, they will love to talk to us, and they just think it's so cool, to talk to an American.
That's good.
Yeah. So the immigration, certainly some people are feeling less like that about Americans, but in general, I haven't seen anything negative.
Okay, so overall, the Portuguese still seem very kind on a day-to-day
Very
basis when you
much.
interact with them on the streets.
Very much. And if you're willing to learn the language and you're willing to at least try to speak in Portuguese, which is about all I can do at this point, but they really appreciate it. They'll help you with the language, but they really appreciate you trying to adapt to their culture.
Okay, so immigration-wise, nothing has really affected you yet, but you've been here for 4.5 years, and there's a lot of talk about the citizenship thing changing. So what do you feel about that?
I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, it's good because when you get citizenship this way, you actually end up with a lot more benefits than the plan that's currently in action, where you get citizenship after 5 years. And I read a table, I can't remember everything, but I did see a table that compared the benefits of the 5-year and the 10-year citizenship, and the benefits are much better at 10 years. On the other hand, I would love to be able to get my citizenship, next year. I would love to be able to apply. I think about it, especially if I want to bring my mom over here from America, is in the back of my mind. But it doesn't necessarily mean I couldn't bring her over either.
Yeah.
And my husband and I, we just feel like it's not that big a deal. All it means is that we renew our residency, which is what we're used to doing. So, and after 5 years, you can still apply to get permanent residency, right? And then at that point, so basically you apply after 2 years, then you apply after 3 years for the permanent. And after you get that permanent residency, applying each time you need to apply is much easier. Like they've already written into law that if they get backed up, that you automatically will be approved. So that will eliminate a lot of the issues that we're seeing now.
So it doesn't stress you out?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
When you first moved here, had you thought we're going to get citizenship in 5 years, or did you even know about it?
I was really in the moment. I'm an in the moment kind of gal.
Yeah.
But after we got here and became established and realized we really did want to live here, yes, we were thinking about definitely we wanted to get our citizenship here.
Yeah, but it was just kind of an added perk to already being here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's definitely not a make or break. I know people are scared right now because of what's happening in the United States, and I have a lot of clients that want to have another citizenship besides the United States. I just don't see that being a big issue here. I mean, the government here is a social democracy, and even when it goes a little right, it's not like the United States, right? Like the right here is like a normal Republican in America, right? It's not like what we're seeing right now.
Well, and I feel like, too, just everywhere, like with politics, it just kind of always ebbs and flows back and forth, and you just have to kind of go with whatever is happening right now, and then it's going to swing the other direction or whatever it might look like. So you can't just let it, like, dictate your life.
Right.
One thing, okay.
One of the things my husband and I joke about is that if we were in a country that went very right, we would want to be in Portugal because it would be the most laid back, right-wing country.
Yeah, it's true.
Anywhere.
Yeah, personality-wise. Yeah. Well, one thing you did mention that I think is on a lot of people's minds is having 2 passports, but also with Spain, technically, if you want to get your Spanish passport, you have to renounce your U.S. one. Technically, that's a law. So, and theirs is 10 years anyway. So if you wait 10 years and then you're not actually supposed to legally hold 2. So that's also another perk to Portugal, is you can have 2. So even if they do move it to 10 years, at least you can have 2 after 10 years and just do the PR for that second 5 years, and it's not so bad.
It's not. And quite frankly, I don't want to give up my U.S. citizenship. I love America. I mean, I know we're going through a lot of stuff right now, but I love America. I love North Carolina. I love where I'm from. I'm very much a patriot of the United States, and I never want to give up my citizenship. So I'm really grateful that I can have both.
Okay, so your friends thought in 2021 you were crazy. Oh, she'll just go for a year and then come back. Well, now that we're 4.5 years on, any plans to move either back to the U.S. or somewhere else outside of Portugal?
No, we really love it here. Our plan was to come here and spend 6 months here and 6 months there. We came to Porto. We loved it so much we haven't left.
Okay.
So we love it. Yeah. And honestly, after experiencing the freedom that I have, this freedom with my time, that I can control how much I work. And I still work a lot, but I have control over it. I just can't give that up now.
Yeah. You can't imagine going somewhere else and that changing.
No. And I also, not have to worry about healthcare and having control over my time.
It's nice that, that it's Portugal, that's Porto that you've just fallen in love with, and it offers so many things that you haven't even thought of, like, where else would I go?
Right. Exactly. And with the changes, I know we call it gentrification, but more and more international restaurants, bars, people are coming here. And so Porto definitely has a big international feel, although it still feels like a Portuguese huge village, right?
Yeah.
It still has that nice combination. And one of the things my husband and I talk about is after living here for a while, we just can't imagine living somewhere where everyone is American.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? We love our international friends and learning, the things people go through growing up in different parts of the world. And, we're so privileged coming from America. Mm-hmm. So, it's really interesting to hear about other cultures.
Yeah, that's something that we always say. Like, Porto is a city, but it's not overwhelmingly big.
No,
so, and when you move here, you realize it's not that big, but it still has everything that you need. And now with more just expats from all over the world, it's not just Americans, but I mean, just a lot of different cultures are mixing. So it's becoming a bit more of a melting pot, and it's kind of fun to see it change.
It is.
Yeah. Some things, changing is like, you're like, I don't want that to change. But other things, it's like, well, it's going to happen. You might as well embrace it.
Yes.
And look at the positives of it.
Yes, I mean, it's like this everywhere, and there's only so much housing and so much land in the cities, right? And Builders are going to invest in the best quality and what they can make the most money off of in the cities. So.
So just being aware of that and knowing how to navigate is important as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms lives. So how has living abroad in Portugal transformed your life?
I need international people around me now. I walk a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more fit. I like walking
Good.
everywhere, so that's been really cool. My mindset has changed. When I go back to America, it just takes me a minute. It's very surreal going back and forth from America to Porto, and it always takes me this adjustment on both ends. I can't put my finger or articulate it exactly, but I'm a different person than I was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And America's different than it was 4.5 years ago too. And Portugal is different.
Yeah, everywhere is different,
Everywhere's
right?
different. So yeah, that's another thing. Like when I go back to America, all the anxiety of the politics and all the stuff going on there, the stress of, besides politics, just the stress of the medical care and all that kind of stuff is all around me when I show up in America. And when I come here, it's gone unless you want to focus on it. Right?
Yes. Yeah, because some people do want to focus on it. And you're
They
like,
do.
yeah, let it go. You don't have to here, right?
We're here now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's get rid of the PTSD. People do joke about the PTSD of living in America and all the anxiety there. when
And
they
now it's
come
like, you're in
here.
Europe. Do the European thing, the European lifestyle. Go for it, right?
That's right. Just chill.
Well, Leslie, thank you so much for chatting with me today. And if you like interviews like this and information about Europe, then don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's get moving.